In this tutorial, we will be discussing models and different forms of research. Scientists use the philosophical approach of reductionism to understand a complex system by reducing it to its working parts. Reductionism has been the general approach of biochemistry, which has been enormously successful at unraveling the complexity of cellular metabolism by concentrating on individual pathways and specific enzymes. By analyzing all the pathways and their components, scientists now have an overall picture of the metabolism of cells. Reductionism has its limits when applied to living systems, however, one of which is that enzymes do not always behave exactly the same in isolation as they do in their normal cellular context. A larger problem is that the complex inner working of the interconnected functions leads to emergent properties that cannot be predicted based on the workings of the parts. For example, an examination of all of the proteins and RNAs in a ribosome in isolation would not lead to the predictions about the nature of the protein synthesis. On a higher level, understanding the physiology of a single Canadian goose would not lead to the predictions about flocking behavior. Biologists are just beginning to come to grips with the problem and to think about ways of dealing with the whole as well as the working of the parts. The emerging field of systems biology focuses on this different approach. Biologists construct models in many different ways for a variety of uses. Geneticists construct models of interacting networks of proteins that control gene expression, often even drawing cartoon figures to represent which we cannot see. Population biologists build models of how evolutionary change occurs. Cell biologists build models of signaling transduction pathways and the events leading to the external signal and internal events. Structural biologists build actual models of the structure of proteins and macromolecular complexes in cells. Models provide a way to organize how we think about a problem. Models can also get us closer to the larger picture and away from the extreme reductionist approach. The working parts are provided by the reductionist analysis, but the model shows how they fit together. Often these models suggest other experiments that can be performed to refine or test the model. As researchers gain more knowledge about the actual flow of molecules in living systems, more sophisticated kinetic models can be used to apply information about isolated enzymes to their cellular context. In systems biology, this modeling is being applied on a large scale to regulatory networks during development, and even to modeling of the entire bacterial cell. Scientists use the word theory in two main ways. The first meaning of theory is the proposed explanation for some natural phenomenon, often based on some general principle. Thus, we speak of the principle first proposed by Newton as the theory of gravity. Such theories often bring together concepts that were previously thought to be unrelated. The second meaning of theory is the body of interconnected concepts supported by scientific reasoning and experimental evidence that explains the facts in some area of study. Such a theory provides an indispensable framework for organizing a body of knowledge. For example, quantum theory in physics brings together a set of ideas about the nature of the universe, explains experimental facts, and serves as a guide for further questions and experiments. To a scientist, theories are a solid ground of science, expressing ideas of which we are most certain. In contrast, to the general public, the word theory usually implies the opposite, a lack of knowledge or a guess. Not surprising, this difference often becomes a confusion. Some critics outside of science attempt to discredit evolution by saying it's just a theory. The hypothesis that evolution has occurred, however, is an accepted scientific fact. It is supported by overwhelming evidence. Modern evolutionary theory is a complex body of ideas, the importance of which spreads far beyond explaining evolution. Its ramifications permeate all areas of biology, and it provides a conceptual framework that unifies biology as a science. Again, the key is how well the hypothesis fits the observations. Evolutionary theory fits the observations very well. As British philosopher Karl Popper has pointed out, successful scientists without exception design their experiments with a pretty fair idea of how the results are going to come out. They have what Popper calls an imaginative preconception of what the truth might be. Because insight and imagination play such a large role in scientific progress, some scientists are better at science than others. Some scientists perform basic research, which is intended to extend the boundaries of what we know. These individuals typically work at universities, and their research is usually supported by grants from various agencies and foundations. The information generated by basic research contributes to a growing body of scientific knowledge, and it provides a scientific foundation utilized by applied research. Scientists who conduct applied research are often employed in some kind of industry. Their work may involve manufacture of food additives, the creation of new drugs, or the testing of environmental quality. Research results are written up and submitted for publication in scientific journals, where the experiments and conclusions are reviewed by other scientists. This process of careful evaluation is called peer review, and it lies in the heart of modern science. It helps to ensure that faulty research and false claims are not given authority of scientific fact. It also provides other scientists with a starting point for testing the reproducibility of experimental results. Results that cannot be reproduced are not taken seriously for long.